You've probably heard of Paul McCartney, or at least his band, The Beatles, but if you're American, you've probably never heard Paul McCartney's greatest hit. Last fall, I got really into the Paul McCartney band Wings, and as I was perusing their Wikipedia page, I stumbled upon this interesting sentence. In 1977, Wings earned their only UK #1 single with Mull of Kintyre, which became one of the best-selling singles in history. Lyrics Genius calls the song a massive commercial hit for Paul McCartney. It's even the grand finale on their 1978 Best of compilation, Wings Greatest. Massive commercial hit? Best-selling UK record of all time? The Mull of Kintyre? I'd never heard of it. I'd heard the songs Band on the Run, Jet, Silly Love Songs, What the Man Said, but never Mull of Kintyre. And if you're American, you might never have heard of it either. But indeed, it seems to be a massive Paul McCartney hit. There are so many things about the Mull of Kintyre my little American brain just does not comprehend. For one, what's a mull? Kintyre is obviously a name, but the name of who or what? And most befuddlingly, how did I go my entire life without hearing this gigantic hit from one of the biggest artists in the English-speaking world? Paul McCartney's band, The Beatles, were one of the biggest bands in the world, but Paul McCartney's next project, Wings, had trouble finding its legs. The Beatles informally separated in 1970. Paul McCartney formed Wings in 1971 with his wife Linda and guitarist Denny Laine, formerly of the Moody Blues. Critics and audiences were not impressed with Wings' early efforts, especially when compared to the astronomical success of The Beatles. Eventually, Wings scored a hit with Live and Let Die from the 1973 James Bond film, and in November 1973, Wings released the album Band on the Run, probably their most popular album. Paul McCartney and Denny Laine started writing Mull of Kintyre in 1974, and it was released as a single in 1977. The song goes a little something like this. I left a link in the description so you can listen to the whole recording. At first, I thought this had to be a recording of an old Scottish folk song, and maybe that's why it was such a hit in England. People would sing the song together in pubs and sway from side to side, and then Paul McCartney put it on a record and people loved it, so the song was effectively a hit before the record. But no, that's not what happened. Although inspired by Scottish folk music, the Mull of Kintyre appears to be an entirely original composition that did not exist before 1974. The spirit of the Mull of Kintyre probably does have a lot in common with the type of drinking song I described, but Paul McCartney and Denny Laine wrote it because they just really like this place in Scotland called the Mull of Kintyre where Paul and Linda McCartney lived. In the November 1977 issue of Record World, McCartney says, "I certainly loved Scotland enough, so I came up with a song about where we were living, an area called the Mull of Kintyre. It was a love song, really, about how I enjoyed being there and imagining I was traveling away and wanting to get back there." The single came out in November 1977, just in time to put it in the running for the UK's Christmas #1, which I understand from Love Actually is a very big deal in England. If you are from the UK and you have first-hand experience with the Christmas #1, please drop your knowledge in the comment section because I am totally unfamiliar. I did some research and now here is my limited American understanding of the UK's Christmas #1. We don't have anything like the Christmas #1 in the United States. I'd say the closest thing we have is the Song of the Summer, which is a completely unofficial way to measure which song nobody could get enough of during a particular summer. For example, Old Town Road would have been the song of the summer in 2019. We have the Billboard Hot 100, but that measures a song's rankings year-round, not just during a particular season. The UK Singles Chart is the UK's version of the Billboard Top 100. The Christmas #1 is the song that falls in the #1 spot of the UK Singles Chart in the week ending on Christmas Day. According to BBC News, the UK historically saw the most record sales in the week before Christmas. This makes sense. People buy records and CDs as Christmas gifts, leading to a spike in sales, leading to the Christmas #1. But despite its name, the Christmas number one is not always a Christmas song. Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody was a Christmas number one twice in 1975 and in 1991. The Spice Girls have 3 consecutive Christmas number ones with their songs To Become One, Too Much, and Goodbye. Sometimes artists will even form supergroups to pursue the Christmas number one, as with Band Aid and the song Do They Know It's Christmas. The concept of the Christmas number one as a competition began in the early 1970s when 2 glam rock bands released festive Christmas songs and duked it out to be the fan favorite. When Mull of Kintyre came along in 1977, the whistle was wet for a rousing race to the Christmas number one spot. Mull of Kintyre held the number one spot for 9 weeks and became the first single to sell 2 million copies in the UK. And one of those weeks was the week of the Christmas number one, indeed making the Mull of Kintyre a legitimate Christmas number one hit. If you're getting 1 iota of entertainment or information from this video, please consider liking and subscribing to support the channel. Thanks! Mull of Kintyre is considered an international hit, but why have many Americans never heard the song? Paul McCartney has never played Mull of Kintyre live in the United States. He actually plays it very rarely, but plays it most often in Canada, the UK, and Australia, where people love it. I think that the main reason the single didn't do well in the United States is the same reason it's kind of hard to perform live. And that reason is bagpipes. Mull of Kintyre has entire verses that are just bagpipes, nay, a bagpipe choir, many bagpipes. It's a lot of work to tote a bagpipe band on a world tour, so that might explain why the song doesn't get played very much on tour. Now, I love a bagpipe. There is something so rousing about somebody blowing their lungs into a fabric bag with pipes on it. But despite my personal affinity for the instrument, bagpipes rarely do well in a US single. The only popular song I could think of off the top of my head with the bagpipes is In a Big Country by Big Country. And even that is just a guitar made to sound like bagpipes. Bagpipes make a subtle appearance on the Peter Gabriel song Come Talk to Me, but that never charted anywhere, and Bon Iver's cover omits the bagpipes entirely. The band Flogging Molly uses bagpipes frequently, but that's kind of their whole thing. Bagpipes are few and far between in mainstream music, and they almost always signal some sort of Gaelic influence. Which brings me to my next conundrum, and another reason why we here in the United States just don't get the Mull of Kintyre. What in God's green earth is a mull? When I think of a mull, I think mull it over, as in think it over. Or I think of mulled wine, which is like the same thing but with spices and a wine. The Dwelly's Scottish Gaelic to English dictionary defines the word mull as the top, summit, or extremity of anything. Of anything, you say. Other definitions call the mull a bald hill. The Mull of Kintyre is on the southwestern tip of the Kintyre Peninsula in Scotland. On a clear day, you can see Ireland from the Mull of Kintyre. Paul McCartney has fond memories of his Mull of Kintyre. He bought High Park Farm there in 1966. At first I was afraid that farm was going to be a different thing too, but I looked it up and I suppose it is a farm with sheep and fields and stuff like that. Wings filmed the music video for the song on the Mull of Kintyre. Isn't it lovely? In the end, Mull of Kintyre is a simple song about Paul McCartney fawning over a Scottish hill. It's a Christmas number one, a proud purveyor of the bagpipes, and overall a very lovely song. Having heard Mull of Kintyre, I absolutely love it. It has the sort of sing-along camaraderie as a song like Sweet Caroline or The Lights Go Down in the City by Journey. I don't suppose it ever will be a big hit in America, since nobody on this side of the Atlantic knows a thing about Mulls of Kintyre and most people don't like bagpipes. But it's a sweet song and I added it to many of my playlists. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you can think of another song with bagpipes in it, drop it in the comments. And if you listened to the Mull of Kintyre or you knew it from before, tell me what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm trying to bring you all a new video every other Wednesday. Thanks everybody for watching. Take care.